EL 2025 C.72. The Hopewell Valley Regional School District has made available the complete text of each of the district's legal notices on their website. Notices may be obtained or viewed by the public on the official internet website of the district, HVRSD legal notices. The board reserves the right to enter into executive session during all meetings of the Board of Education. And as a reminder, the meeting is being videotaped for the purpose of the board review, future reference, preparation of the minutes, and viewing on Comcast Channel 19, Verizon Fios Channel 32, and the school district website, www.hvrsd.org. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a first and a second to approve the minutes for for July 20th?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Seeing none, the minutes are passed. I would like to pass the report opportunity to Dr. Treese.
Thank you. I'm going to keep my comments brief because we do have quite a full agenda this evening. I want to thank everyone for attending this evening. I know that summer is quite hectic and busy, so I appreciate you all attending. I just wanted to say a few things. This week we welcomed our new faculty members. I don't even remember how many. How many were there? 26. We're at 26. Unfortunately, we hired a school nurse who has already resigned. So if you know somebody who's interested in being a school nurse, please have them come see us, please. Because that's what happens. They get a better offer. So hopefully that we will have that position filled, but we are at least covered until October, in that position. We will be welcoming our year 2 faculty back next week for professional development. That is a contractual requirement for them. We do spend quite a bit of time mentoring our new faculty, so we're excited to have them back next week and to have our students back just after Labor Day. Our teachers will be back on the 26th for convocation. Our building administration and counselors are working very rigorously to finalize schedules. I know that our kids have ways to hack into our systems and find out their schedules early. Don't do that because you're going to be disappointed. Things are still moving around. Just wait until we release them, and then you can be excited about your new learning opportunities. But they will, the principals will be announcing that. You have a date for that already? Next Thursday in the evening. Okay, so wait until then because things could still be moving. We're still trying to balance and make sure that things are set as we have new students still enrolling right now. Our grounds and facilities crews are working feverishly to make sure that the buildings are ready to receive students. And we are well underway with our roofing. There have been a couple of delays, but we are certain that that will be ready to go. And any continuing work that goes on will not be interrupting our learning and our students as we move forward. So we thank everyone for all of their work in making sure our buildings are ready to go. Keep an eye out for your school principal's newsletters for any other important dates and back to school information that you need, as well as my back to school newsletter that will be out soon. Finally, I just want to say a little bit regarding the letter I sent families this past Friday. I can't say much about it, but I do want to say this. On Friday, I sent you a letter regarding the district actions since we've learned on Friday that our district's athletic director was criminally charged in Pennsylvania. The employee is entitled to a presumption of innocence until this pending charge is finally resolved. Per board policy, however, what we did was the person has been placed on administrative leave, which is our policy. And I want you to know that we are working very hard to make sure that a replacement is in place because we know that athletic director position is a very important role. And we want to make sure that sports and our staff and students are taken care of to start the year. Tonight, there is a recommendation for an interim athletic director someone who is well qualified, former athletic director in Lawrence. He's very familiar with the role. He has finished the interim in both West Windsor, Plumstead. He's currently in Ewing, and he's going to be reporting to us very soon, should the board approve that recommendation this evening. So we're very comfortable that we have a temporary replacement while this issue is being resolved. And then I finally want to say that the person is not there's no allegations that this employee has had any inappropriate conduct in this community, in our school district, and it's not related to our district students at all. So because it's a personnel matter, I can't say any more about that. And however, if there are changes in the future, I assure you that I'll let the public know as soon as any changes take place. That's all the comments that I have for this evening for now.
Thank you, Dr. Trace. With that, I will forego my report and move us into our first public comment section. Just reminding everyone, the members of the public are invited to address the board on any matter for a maximum of 3 minutes during this portion of the meeting. You're asked to state your name, address, and municipality. In response to your comments, the Board of Education may respond or direct the superintendent to do so. The board may also opt to take the matter up at a future meeting so that the matter is researched by the district administration. Members of the public who intend to participate in public comment, we ask that you sign in at the podium prior to speaking. This will assist us in record keeping. With that, I will also remind you that you have a timekeeper. You have 30 minutes, 30 seconds, sorry. I'll leave that to you. This is why she does the directions on
you have 3 minutes for public comment. When we're at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will put up the yellow sign, and then I will change it to red when you're at 3 minutes.
Better than 30 minutes. Public comment is now open.
I sign in first, and then how do I do this? Hi, I'm Mike Wilson, 22 Temple Court, Pennington. I'm here this evening representing the Eco PTO, and the reason I'm here, is one reason I'm here is because Kristen Broderick, who is the president of the Eco PTO, is sick today, so I'm filling in for her. Anyway, we're concerned in that there was originally about a month or so ago, we made an agreement with Hopewell Elementary School that instead of putting concrete for the learning pavilion, that there would be what's called Trek decking. In other words, and the reason for that is that Trek decking has a degree of permeability. It allows water to sink from the surface into the soil. That doesn't happen with concrete. Now, we're concerned for several reasons. One is, number one, this is not an environmental friendly way of treating the earth. But we're also concerned by the fact that it's not consistent with the climate action plan that we got, that we understand we're working on. I mean, it's damaging the environment. It's not very good stewardship of the earth, and it's definitely not a very good example for students who we hope are learning these skills. Now, I'm here to provide or suggest to you if you need any assistance to this sort of thing, we're ready to help you, and we're ready to be connected with whatever conversations are needed in order to make sure that our climate action plan is in fact in good order and continuing in a way that needs to be to make. I mean, we all agree that we need stewards. We need to create stewards of the earth in our community and our through our students. So we're ready to help. We're willing to be part of this, but we're a little concerned with this lack of agreement with what we were going to do. Thank you. Oh, I need to write my name down here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Julie Cesary. I'm on Washington Crossing, Pennington Road. I am also here tonight representing the EcoPTO and speaking about the same issue that Dr. Mike mentioned, which is the outdoor learning pavilion that was erected at Hopewell Elementary School over the grounds of the existing garden and existing outdoor learning classroom, which needed some TLC but was still existing. I know that it takes so many different moving parts to make all these decisions, and that to the outsider it can look really simple to just do something green, but I know that that's not the case. But I really feel like this was a missed opportunity in terms of providing a experiential learning for our students. We didn't have to pour concrete. If anybody has been to like Baldpate Mountain, you'll see the sunken I don't remember what they're called, but it's like stabilizing grids that you can fill with grass or gravel, and that can go over with wheelchairs and other things that we know it needs to be ABA. But yeah, when I heard about this, I wondered, we had offered our help. Supposedly the reason is that it needed to get done, and there wasn't enough money, and and it struck me that like that is part of the problem that we're coming up against, is that we're making I'm not saying just the board, like the whole world has been making decisions quickly to get things done quickly, and it's like the instant gratification. Do it now, check it off the list, move to the next. It's not healthy, and it's not healthy for our kids. It would have been healthy to do this as a community project, which we didn't have any money to pay for any sort of decking, but we offered our physical labor, and we have a member who is a carpenter, so he was going to, lead the charge. I got mail today, as I often get, and in it was something from a wildlife federation promising me that if I donated more, I would get a nice fleece blanket with a seal printed on it. And it struck me that this pavilion is kind of like also that mailer, which for me is like, okay, we were trying to save the habitat in Antarctica, so why are we pumping oil out of it to manufacture plastic blankets to give people as free gifts for donating to save the Arctic? It's time to get out of this cycle. And Hopewell Valley is a leader in this, not just in our schools. Our entire community wants to lead in this.
Anyone else? Seeing no other comments, would you like to tick off the list?
Yes. Well, there's one response because they're both regarding the concrete pour. So I know there were some comments made that this is sort of, we had to rush and get it done. This has not been a rush and get it done project. Parents raised money to purchase this pavilion for Hopewell Elementary well before COVID. They raised quite a bit of money, and it was not something that was that they asked the district up front for. And then we had this large pavilion that they raised lots of money for, tens of thousands of dollars, I believe, to put in place. But because we're a school district, we can't just use any vendor. We just can't use somebody in the community that might be a carpenter. There are ways that we have to put in a foundation. There's code. There's all kinds of restrictions to that. And, oh, by the way, we had no budget for this. So it took us quite a bit of time through COVID and all of that to find money in our very strapped finance and facility budget to honor this purchase that the parents made. It took some years. And then folks were very upset because the idea was that we were going to have to pour concrete because of the affordability of doing something more green. The Eco PTO came and expressed their concerns somewhere along the way, and this was a while back. Also, concerns about us removing the outdoor learning space that already was there, that was quite dilapidated, and many of the people who helped build that and raise the money for that also admitted it had to go. Tens of thousands of dollars to remove that structure, which was a risk to students. It was being vandalized. It was dangerous. And the staff said it has to go. The Eco PTO expressed their concern about that. We said, listen, this is what it is. If we want to we have to rebuild this thing. So it has to come down, but if you're willing to help, but it was expensive and there was no ability to raise that sort of money. So it came down and the plan was to put the pavilion there. So that being said, the Eco PTO did come to us with ideas for a green opportunity, and it costs 3 times the amount of the concrete. We do not have a budget for it, and we were told that you don't raise money. So we have to honor the fact that there's this pavilion that's been sitting here now for years that parents raise money for. Yes, I love the opportunity to do something green, and I need to have money for it. And we have a lot of things that are tugging at our facilities budget right now. And that is not something that we can fund. And I can't keep not honoring the fact that folks have raised money for this pavilion. So it's not ideal. And I want to do these things. However, we have to be fiscally responsible as well. So that's the reason why the way he moved forward after Dr. Patel, after there was no other resolution, but to spend the money that we already set aside that we do have, because we don't have this 3 times the budget for something we never had the budget for initially. We really had to move things around to honor this. So I know it's disappointing, but we did try to collaborate and work as best we can, but we can't get blood from a stone. If I don't have money to do this, to finance this project, I can't do it. And it can't be get a bunch of people just to build it. That we have to go through a certified contractor that's permitted to do this work for a school district.
Yeah, I think the most important message is everybody had great intentions in starting the project many years ago, and at some point you have to close the loop on that project. And I don't know what status the actual pavilion is in at the moment, if it's in storage or where it is. But this is something that was decided quite some time ago, and the opportunity is always looking forward on how Eco PTO can be more involved and help raise awareness. This is one of many opportunities we have, and while I understand the frustration, I would really hope that we can look at the broader scope of things relative to our green initiatives, because we're not going to be able to hit every single one and manage the budget and kind of balance everything. So appreciate the concern, absolutely. And I do know that there was a lot of discussion within the district about how to best move forward in this particular case. So we'll look forward to the other options and opportunities. This is only one of many. And again, acknowledging the disappointment.
So I'd like to throw something out there that perhaps puts a little bit of a silver lining, or at least defines an educational or creates an educational opportunity out of this. One of the things that bothers me continuously in how we kind of, and I don't mean the district necessarily, but society as a whole approach subjects like climate change and the impact that we have on the environment is we tend to minimize the various trade-offs that have to be in place, that are in place in terms of getting something done. And so we kind of send
young people into the world, not always fully prepared for the obstacles that they're going to hit when they try to implement change. And I think here we have in our district a case study. We could have done something much more expensive, but that would have cost, there's money, but that money would have had to come out of the budget at the expense of teaching positions or something else that we want to spend money on, right? It's a trade-off. We could have, as a society, allowed school districts to hire non-union labor or free labor, like a carpenter who wants to volunteer, but that of course comes at a cost, right? There's many people who believe that supporting unions in these kinds of trades is very important. And so the fact that we weren't able to do this as a district, as you correctly pointed out, is not because we rushed into this. We've been at this since before I was on the, and I remember this being discussed when I joined the board, but it is a consequence of lots of trade-offs. Some of them, like the requirement to use the union labor, be subject to permits that are out of our control, and some that are within our control, like how we allocate our budget, that were made over the years that had led to us being unable to take the route which is the most environmentally friendly in this case, right? And what I want to say is you can take a case study like that, and that's done. I have an engineering education, right? One of the key classes that I had to take is it was a full semester course on engineering failures, right? I know that business schools do case studies, and a lot of the case studies are all about how companies fail. This presents a case study for us that I think would be good to try and incorporate into wherever the appropriate curriculum is when we try to teach our kids the skills that they need to know, that they will need to have in order to actually be able to be successful at bringing about change.
I just wanted to add one more, just a quick thing. What would be very helpful is I know parents mean well, and this was done out of love to the district. This was something that parents wanted to give back to the school when they knew that we weren't going to be able to bring that outdoor space back in a cost-effective way. It's very important that parents collaborate with us before they purchase something, because then we get into a situation where we do have to honor all that money spent, and we don't have a budget for it, right? So it creates something that now we have to, because we want to honor that, we have to move things around and fix something. Since then, we have put in outdoor spaces that are green, that don't require that, right? And coverings that are more eco-friendly. But once something's purchased, and much of that outdoor space that I was talking about that fell apart was purchased by parents before they talked to us, and then are we sure we can maintain that moving forward, right? So we just please, we love that you do these things for us, but please collaborate on any structures before you go out, because that is our plan. We do have this long plan on sustainability, but that kind of stuff takes our hands, ties our hands with some things.
Awesome. Thank you. With that, we will close public comment, and I'll move us on to an agenda item that I sorely missed, the very, very bottom of the first page. We do need to appoint our new board secretary. Can I get a first and second to approve Heather Pyle as our new board secretary?
First.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Seeing none, we welcome officially Heather Pyle, and also thank Thad and Gina for filling in the interim. We appreciate you immensely for stepping in, and also all the work you're doing to help Heather get acclimated. Would like to check in if we have any old if there are any old business items that need to be addressed. Okay, seeing none, a request a first and second on all consent agenda items this evening.
First.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? Wonderful, thank you. Seeing none, we will approve the consent agenda items. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to our committee updates, and I'll start with finance and facilities.
Thank you, Madam President. Okay, so this month we met and spoke about a few items. I know most of you saw it on the green notes, but just for the public, we spent probably 20 minutes or so talking about the referendum-related work that's begun. Mainly, that's the roofing work. We were given an update from Bill, from facilities on that. We should expect to see a roofer or two into September on all the locations getting new roofs, but don't anticipate any disruptions in the day-to-day for any of those items. We are in the process of reinstalling solar on the gym roof at the high school. We've been in touch with PSE&G on that and have gone back and forth with them, but that is now in motion. Things are happening and we're happy about that. There were some change order items in that with contractors we used. The administration did a really nice job talking with PSE&G on that, and we're able to get everything squared away. On Bear Tavern's playground, that is on schedule. We are dealing with some damaged equipment and delayed equipment that we received in, but we are still looking to be on schedule based on that, which is great. The site is fenced off and secluded enough that if it does happen to push into the school year, we're not going to have any challenges on that. And again, thank you to everybody who was kind enough to contribute to that and the donations that came in for that as well as the work from the state. We also just submitted a couple insurance claims, which I updated you guys on for more of these capital projects, which just dates again back to thanking the public for getting the referendum passed so we can deal with these things and hopefully be able to stop putting Band-Aids on things and actually fix it for the good. Other than that, there are no other big rocks. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have on any of those facilities updates, and then I'll jump into the shared services update. Any questions on the facilities? Okay, the second piece of this has to do with our ongoing discussions with Hopewell Township's government body and their support of the referendum. We are feeling like we're at the 1 yard line. I feel like I've been saying that for a year, but I guess we're definitely there with getting the agreement in place for them to be able to support us with the funds for the Bear Tavern extension. We are in a nice communication cadence between Dr. Treese as well as Mayor Chait. And I just want to publicly say thank you to Mayor Chait for that and for the continued dialogue with us on that. It's been really refreshing, him being in the mayorship and being able to talk with him in a way that maybe we haven't in the past, which is great. But we feel close about that. We feel like we're there. And hopefully in the next month or two, we can have a firm update that we are there and the money is en route. So thank you for that. Any questions on the shared services agreement? Okay. Other than that, I am done. And do I need to move anything for a vote? All consent. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Moving on to personnel.
Welcome back.
You know it.
All right. So we met this evening. We typically meet for personnel prior to this meeting, our board meeting. A lot of, I'm going to call it normal things that are on the agenda. If you take a look at it today, these are normal appointments that you're going to see on the agenda. There really isn't anything out of the ordinary. We do have a few resignations and things of that nature that you'll see. On there also are some attachments for bus driver, van attendant salaries, and some of the district assignments for anti-bullying and things of that nature. But nothing major to report other than what's on there. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have, or Tana can answer any questions you guys have.
I'm just looking at this. It seems like we found somebody who's able to pick up the Chinese language. Okay. Cool.
Well done. Awesome.
All right, I need to get a first and a second for a roll call.
Mhm.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Capadia,
Yes.
Dr. Lillison,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Dr. Resnick,
Yes.
Mr. Slotman, Dr. Stiliano,
Yes.
and Miss Williams Galliano.
Yes. We all are staring at her technology right now. No buzzing or anything. Bring a new BA and you get new equipment, I guess. Speak into the mic. Awesome. Wonderful. So all personnel items are approved and moved. Moving on to education and SEL.
All right, so we had quite a cool meeting. Miss Riley came in and gave us an update on 2 issues. The first one was the attendance issue. You may recall that for the previous academic year, the state kind of dinged us because our chronic absenteeism was about 10%. And just to remind you folks, chronic absenteeism is, or a student is considered chronically absent if they are absent more than 10% of the time without an excuse, as an unexcused absence. So 2 things that were done for this year that address that. One is we changed our reporting. We had a reporting discrepancy in that when the students were on medical leave but receiving home instructions, where we were marking them as absent - medical leave. Apparently, the right way for the state to do it is to mark them as present and receiving home instruction. And there were also things that Ms. Riley put in place at the school to combat chronic absenteeism. So right now it is at an 8.82%, which she said is lowest in the district, and a daily attendance is close to 95%, which is highest in the district. It's kind of amazing for a high school. So we're now within the state guidelines on both of those. Then she also addressed the AI issue with the AP seminar and AP research. They're not exams, they're projects. Again, if you recall, we had a number of students in this school that College Board essentially gave them a 0 for that component of their grade because they claimed that there was evidence that AI was being used. We had and that is an issue that hit pretty much every single district in the state that offers those courses. So we were not unique in that. We had a couple of students who appealed that. The teacher felt strongly that at least the students who appealed that did not use AI. Their initial appeal was denied, but we have since had 1 student where the denial was overturned on a second appeal, and apparently what it took is a combination of a direct letter from the teacher and a detailed record of all the edits made from the Google Docs. The teachers have now submitted letters for the other students, so we're waiting and we're hopeful that those appeals or that those denials will be reversed as well. We also talked about what we can do proactively going forward to avoid this situation, because I think everybody agrees this is very stressful for the kids. They've done a lot of work, and to have the College Board just come back and say, "No, we're not gonna give you credit for it," is not the outcome we desire. So what Ms. Riley has done is provided the committee an overview of everything that this district is doing to try and make sure that the kids don't use AI in inappropriate ways. I think we've got some good policies in place. And truth be told, the kids that are taking these AP classes are not the ones who are more likely to use AI. The other thing that we're going to do going forward is the teachers that teach these courses will be making sure that the students are very proactive about making sure that all of their edits and everything is being readily available. And in fact, there's some discussion about whether it might be possible to just submit those with the initial submission. So we talked about that. And then the last thing we did is Dan Amstead, who supervises the EA program, came in and discussed what's been going on with the EA program. There have been a lot of changes over the last couple of years. The EA program has been changing in various ways. There were staffing issues. We changed the program format, etc. So understandably, there have been some parent concerns about what's going on with the EA program. We seem to have gotten on track at the elementary levels. We have a teacher who kind of coordinates what happens across the 4 elementary schools, who seems to be doing a really good job with the program. So now the next thing is to address what happens at middle school. Mr. Amstead said that we're bringing in an external expert this coming year to do an overall assessment and recommend the changes. So we're going to be monitoring that as a committee. And then hopefully those changes should be implementable by the next academic year. And that's about it. Questions? And I don't think I don't think there's anything up for vote. I think it's all consent.
All consent. Really great. I just feel like there's a really nice momentum going with Dan and Mary. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. That's great. Good. Okay, moving on. Can we get an update from Mr. Kapadia and Mr. Slotman?
So I'm gonna ask folks to bear with me. This was supposed to be a larger announcement last month, but I was unfortunately not present in person. But I just want to talk about the state funding that we were able to receive, as well as giving a shout out to some of the folks in our community and our partners who have been incredibly valuable to the district and our students. So I'm going to just go through some spoken remarks. I'm proud to announce that the Hopewell Valley Regional School District has secured $75,000 in state funding to expand student mental health services and continue our partnership with Attitudes in Reverse. We are living through a youth mental health crisis, and our students have been telling us that directly. Last year, members of the Hopewell Valley Youth Advisory Board came before this school board and shared the results of a survey they conducted, showing that 66.3% of Hopewell Valley Central High School students experience excessive stress, driven by academics, social media, extracurricular activities, and the pressures of daily life. When our students tell us that they are struggling, our responsibility is to respond. Budgets are moral documents. They reveal what we choose to value. This funding reflects that responsibility by expanding mental health programming, keeping therapy dogs in our schools, and ensuring students have trusted, compassionate support when they need it most. I'm especially proud that this appropriation allows us to continue and deepen our partnership with Attitudes in Reverse, or AIR for short, and the Baker family. AIR is a Mercer County-based nonprofit built by people who know this community and who have dedicated themselves to protecting the mental health of young people. Tricia Baker and her family have taken an unimaginable personal loss and transformed it into years of service, advocacy, education, and compassion for young people across our community. Through AIR, they have helped make conversations about mental health and suicide prevention more open, more human, and less stigmatized. And they have been relentless in making sure our students know that asking for help is a sign of strength. I also want to recognize Elizabeth Machado for her extraordinary commitment to AIR's therapy dog program. Ms. Machado's fundraising efforts helped cover the 2026 to 2027 renewal fees for AIR's existing school-based therapy dog teams, which helped ensure that these trusted and beloved dogs could continue showing up for our students. Tricia, The Baker family, Ms. Machado, and the entire AIR team have created spaces in our schools for years where students feel seen, supported, and less alone. We are incredibly fortunate to have partners who care so deeply about Hopewell Valley students and who have invested so much of themselves in their well-being. And this all comes at a time when the Trump administration and the federal government is gutting investments in public education and mental health. And here in Hopewell Valley, we are choosing a different path. We're making sure our students have access to the support they deserve, because a young person's ability to learn depends on their ability to feel safe, healthy, and cared for. Local government cannot solve every problem, but it does have a responsibility to ensure that no student struggles alone simply because we failed to invest in them. This is exactly the kind of investment government should be making: practical, visible, and life-changing for our students and their families. This appropriation is also especially meaningful because of how extraordinarily competitive this process was. Among more than 590 operating public school districts in New Jersey, Hopewell Valley was one of just 10 to receive a direct line item appropriation in this year's state budget. For context, last year's budget included more than $728 million in direct appropriations. This year, that amount fell to less than $359 million, a cut of more than 50%. Despite that dramatically more competitive environment, our priorities still broke through. And that speaks to the strength of this project, the relationships we have built, the work AIR has done, and the collective advocacy of everyone who fought for this investment. For too many years, our community has sent hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes to Trenton, only to be told that there is nothing left when our schools and students need help. Our district has been forced to cut programs time and time again while asking local taxpayers to pay more. That is backwards and unfair. And this is exactly why we created the Government and Community Relations Committee, to break down the silos between our school district, municipal government, county government, state government, and to reclaim the public resources our residents have already paid for. In just 2 years, we have secured $200,000 in state funding for Hopewell Valley schools, $125,000 for an accessible playground at Bear Tavern Elementary last year, and now $75,000 for student mental health services. At a time when many people have lost faith in government, this is what public institutions should do. They should listen to the people, the students that they serve, bring different levels of government together, and deliver tangible improvements through public resources that residents can actually see and feel in their everyday lives. We're deeply grateful to Senator Shirley Turner for championing HVRSD's second ever state budget appropriation request, to Assemblyman Anthony Varelli and Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson for their partnership throughout this process, and to the Sherrill administration for providing this funding. And I also want to recognize the parents, students, educators, and community members who wrote letters, sent emails, made phone calls, shared their stories, and advocated for this investment. This funding did not happen because one person asked for it. It happened because our community organized around a simple idea that we have upheld for years. Our children are worth investing in. Today, we're continuing our commitment that mental health is not separate from education, that asking for help should never be a source of shame, and that every student in Hopewell Valley deserves to know that their community sees them, values them, and will be there for them. Thank you.
Thank you. All of that. I don't suppose you have a speech ready.
Mr. Slotman, your turn.
I think we are good. But thank you, Mr. Kapadia, and I think it definitely goes without saying the continuation of the government relations and merging them with community relations has been really a great way to continue our focus in how we engage both up and throughout the community. Anybody else want to comment?
Not on this, except to say thank you for all your hard work. It's the very fact that we have a government relations committee and we now have this ongoing conversation was something that do have a question that is on a different topic, but that Governor Sherrill, or there has been some publicity that Governor Sherrill is beginning a process of at least what is being called a comprehensive review of how public education funding is being done. Do you know if there is an opportunity for school boards to provide comments into that process? And if so, how that's going to happen?
From what I understand, a lot of school board advocacy in terms of what is reaching legislators in the governor's office is done through NJSBA. So if there is feedback that we have, I think the real appropriate line of communication would be for us to reach out to NJSBA, articulate our thoughts, and then if there is a bill that does revamp the funding formula, there will be opportunity for us to go and testify. I know Dr. Treese has testified on a variety of bills in the past. I think that's something that the Government Relations Committee has been wanting to get more involved in. And so that can be open to any school district. So when that time comes, I know right now it's in the early stages, but yeah, you have any?
Exactly, just a hair. NJ ASBO, where Bob is now serving, is also becoming very active, along with Mr. Edwards, in communicating with Governor Sherrill. I know he was at the State the State House last week, testifying on that information and meeting with others as well. So I think progress will occur both through SBA and through NJ ASBO, as well as input from other school districts, as well as school business administrators and superintendents.
Yes.
So
NJ ASBO, for those who don't know, because we throw a lot of alphabet soup around in education, that's the association for the school administrators in the state. So they have been testifying and advocating for districts about, how this has got to be, just something that is unsustainable the way we're going.
So then, as a follow-up, do we want to come up with our position as a board? And that seems like something that the committee, not to throw a work your way, but that seems like something that would come out of your committee and then come to the rest of us for review. Yep.
Great. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Didn't want to skip. I don't know if anybody has an update. I know Jackie's not available on climate action. Okay. Not the summer. Okay. So I thought, but I didn't want to just hop over them in the agenda. Moving on to policy, Dr. Lilliston.
Okay. So the policy committee met on August 11th, and we were joined by Ms. Riley and Ms. Smith. So thank you all for joining. We do have one regulation and 3 policies up for first reading today. Can I please have a motion and a second to bring policy 4135, healthy workplace, policy 8660, transportation by private vehicles to and from school-related activities, policy 8862, transportation by private or district-owned vehicles to and from school, and regulation 5516, student use of internet-enabled devices, up for first reading.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. So first up, we have policy 4351, which is the healthy workplace environment policy. This is a new policy to our district. It establishes standards to ensure that we have a respectful, safe, and productive working atmosphere for school district support staff members, for faculty, operating on the principle that a healthy environment really improves employee morale, reduces absenteeism, and ultimately enhances student programs. So this policy does lay out expectations for all school employees to treat each other with dignity and respect, and prohibits malicious conduct like workplace bullying, verbal abuse, intimidation, or humiliation in the workplace. So conduct targeting protected classes, like by race or gender, is governed by separate anti-discrimination laws. So this kind of covers the actions that are not specifically addressed under those laws. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about this policy?
I don't have concerns, but I have a question about the language. Did this language come from the usual source?
Strauss Esme, yes.
Okay, so this is the Strauss Esme.
Mhm. Any other questions, concerns about this one? Okay. So then we're going to move into two transportation related policies. So we have transportation by private vehicles to and from school related activities first. So this is a revised policy for us. It addresses the safe transportation of students in private vehicles to and from school related activities. So this only covers transportation to and from school related activities in a private vehicle without the driver possessing a commercial driver's license. So basically not a school bus. It's mandated for any district that permits the transportation of students to and from school-related activities in private vehicles, and we last revised it in 2010. So just a few notes about this policy. In our district, this does mostly cover coaches or folks who are driving students to school events in their own private vehicles. It does include an option for the board to prohibit transportation by a driver who has been convicted of any moving vehicle violation in the past 3 years. I think the committee is recommending that we do not include this optional language, only out of concern that it might be a little too restrictive, because this would include things like minor speeding violations, for example. It also includes some minor edits, like citing the state code and indicating that we can reimburse for mileage, which we currently do. The next policy, 8662, would be a new policy for us. So this is transportation by private vehicles or district-owned vehicles to and from school. So the Department of Education released guidance on designated CDL exempt drivers. So CDL means commercial driver's license exempt drivers. So essentially people who can't drive buses. In July 2025, pursuant to revisions to state statute that now permits school districts to designate qualified school personnel who do not have commercial driver's licenses to transport students between home and school in private or district-owned vehicles with a maximum capacity of 8 or fewer passengers, excluding the driver. So this would essentially allow our district to designate specific staff who can drive students in a district vehicle like a van. We do need to submit the list of personnel to the executive county superintendent no later than August 15th of each year. We have not passed this policy yet, so we did not get that list in, but we are hoping to take advantage of it in the upcoming school year if possible, or the following school year if possible. Just a couple things to note here. This is different than the previous policy because it covers staff who don't have commercial driver's licenses to drive in school-owned vehicles, which is different than the other policy. And Ms. Riley was very supportive of it in the fact that she thought it would really alleviate some transportation costs and help logistically, as we wouldn't need to necessarily arrange a bus driver and a bus for transporting small groups of students to school-related activities. I'll stop there and see if anybody has any questions or concerns about these two policies.
And if I can just add, this policy, even though I knew that we weren't able to enact it now, because there's a stringent list of things that the staff member has to do in order to be qualified for me to recommend them to you, for them to go to the Department of Ed by the 15th. A lot of districts are looking at this as an opportunity to save money to buy those vehicles to transport small groups of students. It can't be more than a van that carries more than 8, right? You can't like sort of take a bus and make it smaller, but this might be an opportunity to buy a smaller vehicle to transport smaller number of students after school and to save the district money and also be green, right? So this is that's something that we can start thinking about in terms of projects and ways to bring in some more green transportation and on a smaller scale. Also, transporting some of Paulette's, like you have one student in a big bus.
Yep.
You know, it could be a bus driver driving who's got all the credentials, but you're in a smaller vehicle.
The only question I have is in 8660, there was language, parents or legal guardians, and we crossed out the legal guardians.
So that's a Strauss Esme edit. It's because of the definitions that were put into the state code. So I think they are defining parents broadly as parents and legal guardians. Yeah, we noted the same thing, Dr. Resnick. Yeah.
Do we want to add our own statement somewhere that says parents are defined broadly or something for people who read this policy?
I think we agreed that in order to move it, we would point back to the the definition
In the
that is
state code.
Right, but what I'm saying is the policy doesn't actually include that pointer. Like it doesn't say the term for the definition of the term parent, see blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, or please note that the term parent is defined per state definition, please see.
We can add that. Not a problem. Anybody else have any questions or comments about that one? Okay. All right. And so the last regulation that we have up for review is Regulation 5516, student use of internet-enabled devices. So this is a revised regulation, and it addresses the new requirement for a district to prohibit internet-enabled devices on school grounds during the school day. So Policy Guide 5516 outlines the list of circumstances and exceptions where a student would be permitted to use their internet-enabled device during the school day pursuant to both state code and Department of Education guidance. It provides the specific rules around use of internet-enabled devices, and the law is pretty clear that non-academic use of internet-enabled devices by students is prohibited on school grounds during the school day. But there is some amount of local decision-making that's permitted about how the district will store the devices, use of the devices on school buses and during school sponsor events that are off school grounds and outside of school hours, as well as the disciplinary consequences. And so that's what you see here in this regulation. So a few things that we just wanted to note here. So we did consult with the elementary principals, particularly around what enforcement should look like at the K through 5 elementary level. So students are prohibited from using internet-enabled devices during the school day on buses at that level. And during the school day, devices must be turned off and in their backpacks. We're recommending for students in grades 6 through 12 that students are prohibited from using the devices during the school day, and they'll be stored in a lock pouch system in their lockers or their backpacks. Ms. Riley did share that the pouch system that's going to be rolled out and used in the high school looks a little bit different than what's being used in the middle school. So currently in the middle school, they've got kind of like a zip lock that they, sort of a zip lock a magnetic lock that through the top that they have to sort of put it through the system on the way in and the way out of school. At the high school level, the students are going to have a little more independence. So they do have a bag, it closes, it has very, very loud Velcro. So if they reopen it, it's apparent to everybody. And then it does have the ability to be locked if there are multiple violations. So that's slightly different system, but I think same idea, that they're going to have them in locked pouches in a way. Aggressive Velcro, yeah, as Ms. Williams-Galliano said.
And the pouches prevent signals from getting in, so they won't be buzzing and it's distracting them, because that's, I felt it in my purse, my thing will, and then you want to go look at it. What I'm really excited to hear is one of the we had an education camp just recently with administrators from all over. We had over 100 people here, 120, and they all were meeting about subjects, and this was one of them, and we're well ahead of other districts in this regard. We have a policy in place, so we're just tweaking what we already are doing. The high school will be locking them down, but the vice principal at the high school shared that kids, you remember kids used to kick around the hacky sack back in the day? They're the ones that came up through the middle school that have not had their phones for a while are not on their phones by choice. They're doing that again, and they're finding, and he's bringing in other games as they get bored with that. They're actually playing and looking at each other and speaking, which is amazing. So I'm hopeful that happens with the rest of the group, and then they actually engage in real conversation, not just sitting next to each other texting like I remember them doing back in the past. So we're making a dent in it.
I'm on a roll today. If you look at item number 3 school buses.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 2 options checked when it should only be 1, and they're contradictory.
Yes,
Okay.
we crossed out the X, but it should have been, we should have crossed out the whole thing.
Yeah.
The principals, it's going to be the second one where they're not allowed to use it. Mhm.
It's a track changes that's
All
hard
right,
to
so-
see.
Yeah, so you got the,
Sorry
we
for
crossed out
that.
the X, but we didn't cross out
So
the
the
whole
committee recommendation is students in K through 5 are prohibited from using
Yes.
internet-enabled devices on school buses.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Great.
do not want them used on the school buses.
Right.
Okay.
And they've been kind of enforcing that. Now, do the kids have they're going to put their Apple Watch on when they leave? Because I am aware that parents use that kind of as a tracking device for their students. But they should not be on there texting, showing all their friends stuff and all of that. But your kids can have their phone as long as they're not using it and getting into discipline problems with it. They're supposed to have it off, and then they can have their watch on so that their parents can know where they are once they leave the school building.
Any other questions or concerns about this one? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Okay. Can I have a motion and a second to bring policy 2200 curriculum for second reading and regulation 220 curriculum content for second reading abolishment?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. So the policy committee received no additional edits to this policy or any concerns related to the proposed abolishment. Does anybody have any concerns or questions they'd like to raise at this time? Okay. Heather, roll call vote.
Mr. Capadia,
Yes.
Dr. Lillison,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Dr. Resnick,
Yes.
Mr. Slotman,
Yes.
Dr. Stiliano,
Yes.
and Miss Williams Galliano.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Right. With that, I think we're just, all the routine information items are all on consent. And with that, it brings us to, I need a first and second to approve the August and September calendars.
Motion.
Okay.
There we go. For finance and facilities, when would you like to meet?
We love Monday mornings apparently.
I know, I was going to say, I know, 8 a.m. Yep. We can do it Tuesday. Yep. Oh, happy birthday. Okay, and policy? Did I- Hmm. And personnel committee? PM. Okay, and then governance? Oh, curriculum. I'm sorry. I'll leave you out.
Oh, or September 9th. September 9th, which I can't remember. Okay, do 9. I can do the 10th, but I think isn't there another meeting that was just policy? The 11th? 11th at 8. Okay, good, done. It's the September 8th. No, sorry. September 11th at 8.
I can. You want me just to share my work?
With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Always makes me laugh since we all went through the process. But I have to ask. So we have calendars for the upcoming month. Are there any new business items? Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move into our final public comment for the evening. And just to remind the community, members of the public are invited to address the board on any matter for a maximum of 3 minutes, not 33. During this portion of the meeting, you are asked to state your name, address, and municipality. In response to your comments, the Board of Education may respond or direct the superintendent to do so. The board may also opt to take the matter up at a future meeting so that the matter is researched by the district administration. Members of the public who intend to participate in public comment, we ask that you sign in prior to speaking. This will assist us with our record keeping. Again, timekeeping policy still applies, and with that, public comment is now open.
Julie again. I think one of the things I forgot to say in the beginning public comment was the issue of the impermeable surface of concrete and the risk of flooding. There's been district parents who are experts in this field that have donated their time to survey schools and make plans. Teachers have gone out on limbs to get grants to put in rain gardens. I understand wanting to honor something that other people wanted. As someone who has been a part of that project of rainwater remediation, it just feels really hypocritical. And it's really disappointing. And also, I don't know. I don't do things that aren't the right decision just to honor something. The view needs to be really wide. We have to. Not enough people realize this. But if we want our kids to know about what they're going to need to do to survive on this planet, a seemingly benign concrete slab is a huge opportunity to equip them. Obviously, I don't have enough time to tell you all the different ideas and ways that it could have been done. It just feels really bad. The contribution of all the families and the intention, I agree, was really good. And getting kids outside anytime is good, but it's not the same thing as outdoor education. And it's not the same thing as nature connection for well-being, which is something we're really working on in this district. And I guess I just feel a little frustrated, or not really frustrated. I feel like a fly in butter. Like we bring something up and it just, oh well. And I hope that in the future we can have more foresight about some of the decisions we make. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sylvia Kosis, 7 Wydrell Drive in Pennington, New Jersey. I recently learned last week that a motion was filed, a lawsuit was filed in New Jersey federal court concerning the fact that secular clubs are allowed to have mentors while religious clubs cannot. And I just wanted to read some of the portions of the nature of that action, just in case you're not familiar with it. This was filed by the Beckett Fund on behalf of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Religious discrimination has no place in public schools, but that is precisely what is happening in Hopewell Valley. The district imposes one set of rules for secular student groups and another for Fellowship of Christian Athletes, FCA, solely and expressly because FCA is religious, while other student groups benefit from regularly hosting adult volunteers, a resource that's often crucial to the group's long-term health. The district has declared for religious clubs, no outside individuals are permitted at all. This damaging double standard is precisely the type of discrimination the Constitution and civil rights law forbids. FCA is a religious ministry for student athletes with affiliated groups around the country. Although the huddles are student-initiated and student-led, they also invite local members of the FCA staff and other adult volunteers to attend their meetings, just like other student clubs invite volunteers of their own. FCA staff and volunteers help support and mentor students. They answer questions, they assist in leadership development, and they generally bring pizza almost every time for lunch. Mr. Capadia, you talked about this tonight. You mentioned in terms of attitudes in reverse, the therapy dog program, that there are benefits to having people coming into the school as volunteers. The students trust them. They offer compassionate support. They invest so much of themselves in the program, and students should have access to the support they deserve. It's important for student mental health. The district's new religious club only volunteer ban does indeed discriminate against religious clubs and singles them out for disfavored treatment. The district expressly permits adult visitors on its campus for a variety of different reasons, therapy dogs, and other non-religious groups are allowed to and regularly do take advantage of this permission. There's more in the case, but I just want to end with this. The school year is rapidly approaching. The plaintiffs, FCA, and its affiliate student groups within the district shouldn't have to lose out on the benefit of equal access to volunteers for still more years. The district is actively and cavalierly violating the law. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Seth Sadisky, just real quick for clarification, because mentioned it at the top that in the agenda that we were hiring an interim AD. And I've been through the agenda and I can't find a name anywhere. So if we hired somebody, could we just share who that is?
Yes. Ken Mason's on there. It just says interim administrator, but it's Ken Mason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Was that your only
you.
comment? Okay. Right. If there are no other comments, I'm going to ask our attorney, Paul Green, to comment on the FCA.
You have to hold it. Okay. Yeah. This case raises a number of complex constitutional issues. The district certainly does not discriminate or does not look to discriminate against anyone based on religion. There are fundamental questions in terms of the scope of the involvement. There are countervailing constitutional issues with respect to whether the clubs are truly student-run. There are factual issues here. Certainly, we don't comment on ongoing litigation, but we certainly look forward to dealing with this and pursuing it through the courts, and perhaps there will be an outcome that is satisfactory to everyone. Perhaps there's a middle ground that can be reached, but basically there are concerns expressed on both sides, both from the freedom of religion and from the right or the lack of involvement in terms of the district and the scope of what that may be and what's permissible in terms of people coming in. So again, this is a factual issue that's complex. The constitutional issues are complex, and this will all get worked out through the litigation.
And I just want to ask Paul a clarifying questions for the sake of the anybody who may be watching. I think the point of the language you used was basically saying that there are legal positions that are at contest here. Is that
yes,
translation?
There are factual and legal issues that are very complex constitutionally. This is a complex area of the law. We certainly do not necessarily agree with the characterizations that have been made, but that will all be determined through the course of the litigation. We don't want to comment on ongoing litigation other than to say that there are numerous issues here that need to be worked through.
Thanks. Outside of our purview. Okay. Very good. Any other comments on anything else before we close comment? Okay. Seeing none, I'll officially close public comment, and I'll request a first and a second to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, there will not, thank you. There will not be any actions taken. There may be. Okay. There may be, okay, gotcha. Got the signal. There may be actions taken. So we will, you all just can know that we will come out of executive session at some point. With that, all in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, seeing none, thank you all.